We would agree certainly that humans have free will in the way that they make their decisions. Down here when we're on Earth, and I like to use the acronym, if I have a pen and I drop it, I drop the pen. Now God's ordaining everything that comes to pass, but in a world in which we are living, I'm making my own decisions. And God's ordaining those decisions, meaning he's put everything in place before the foundation of the world. He doesn't, we would disagree in that he knows what's going to happen. We would say he ordains things to come to pass. And we would reference things like Genesis 50, the story of Joseph. It's very clear that Joseph says what God intended for evil, God intended for good. That speaks to it actually being involved in the process, not knowing it happens. But when he says God intended it for good, that speaks to God actually he lets the sinful act occur by allowing that. Now that he's decreeing that by allowing it. And when he allows his brothers to sell Joseph to Egypt, God already knows. Years later, the promised seed, which is Reuben, comes into the picture, and he's going to survive because he's going to get out of that famine and go to where Joseph was placed, now by his brothers, true, but also by God, so that the promised seed will be fulfilled and continue down the line. Same thing with David, surviving, learning how to kill Goliath by lions attacking him. Well, he knows David. He needs to shape David in a way that where he's going to be able to kill Goliath and be a warrior when he's a kid. So what does he do? He ordains or decrees, let's say, lions and bears and things to go try to kill David's flock, and he has to learn these things. So that's not by happenstance. And I also would argue that it's just knowledge of it. Now Stephen would argue the same way and say that it's not just knowledge. He's created an environment in which they play out. But we would take it one step further in that it's not just knowledge that he creates a world in which these things come to pass. I don't honestly think it answers the question of free will and election, because he's still not really. He's electing you based on knowledge of what you as a human will freely choose. He's not electing people based on who he wants to just choose because of himself and his will. So that's I would say the big difference. And I think that obviously, because I'm in this camp, I think that the biblical evidence is way stronger for an electing God. You mentioned Romans 9. I'm surprised you mentioned Romans 9, because obviously, that's if there was a Bible within the Bible for a Calvinist camp, it would be Romans 9, because there's no real way around it. Now, you said it